You're still listening to Africa Global Radio, our story, our growth, our future, and we're about taking our good news stories.
Good news.
Good news.
Good news.
Good news.
So this one is like super good for me. Like, I was so excited when I actually found. I was like, wow, that's a good story. So recently, I told you about the launch of the Africa Code Challenge 2020. And now we finally have a winner. And guess what? She's 10 years old. Like 10 years old. And she's an Ethiopian girl. And she has been declared the winner of the Africa Code Challenge 2020. So we're talking about Soliyana Gizaw. Soliyana Gizaw, and she has been declared the winner of the 2020 Africa Code Challenge. Some people call it African Code for short. Now, it was a newly launched continent-wide tech competition where young people were invited to create an educational computer game. Now, Soliyana's submission was titled Mathstainment. Mathstainment. So it's like maths and entertainment in a way. So Mathstainment. And it won the Pan-African Prize, which was leading participations from 54 African countries. So according to them, they went through a rigorous round of judging for this year's African Code Challenge, and SAP Africa Code Week's top 10 winners were announced, and special highlights include the top 3 being all female. So like put Soliyana, just put her to the left a little bit, and look at the fact that the top 3 were all females, and now among that also the one who won was just 10 years old. Like, the story is like, it's like a good stew. The meat is good. The sauce itself is also good. So we had the global coordinator Olajide Ademola Ajayi, and he said despite the COVID-19 disruption for schools, which impacted hundreds of millions of youths across Africa, the children from more than 54 African countries stepped up to share their vision of the future of education. So this was basically trying to get them to bring to play what was in their mind. How do you wish education is like? How do you want to see it to be like in the future? And now the competition was for youths aged between 18 to 16, and they were tasked with coding a game using the Scratch program language to answer the question, how will your tech change the future of education? And Soliyana came up with hers. Now, in her video presentation, she explained that her app is not only a game, but also creates awareness about COVID-19. Look, that's a brilliant man right there. That's somebody who thought, taking into consideration our current state, and also looked at what we could do to better it. And let's not also forget where we are coming from. So she's trying to, put it together. In the future, this is what I want to see us to do. This is how I want it to be like. But then also, I don't want us to forget that this came out of something like this, which is the COVID-19 situation. So to Soliyana Gizaw, wherever you are, I mean, yeah, we know you're in Ethiopia and we're like super proud of you for this amazing feat. The fact that you were able to come up with Mathstainment, like, I'm actually going to look for it because that tainment part is trying to take me like entertainment, and maths and entertainment, it's going to be an interesting thing to put together. I'm sure Mami Abba will join me as we look for the Mathstainment. But stay tuned. We'll try and bring you more about her idea and as the story unfolds. First off, congratulations to her. She's amazing. Now, for our next AGR good news, we're looking at an interesting story. Now, for people living with HIV/AIDS, it's not pleasant. It's not something that you would want to wish on anybody. But then, I mean, with the antiretroviral drugs and everything, it allows them for them to be able to carry about their daily businesses and still be able to go on. And one thing that some countries have been trying to put in place is initiatives and ways to actually curb the spread of HIV and AIDS. And this is something that is taking place in East Africa, but in a way that I didn't imagine. I don't know about you, but I did imagine that that method was actually going to be used to curb the spread of HIV and AIDS. So I'm basically talking about safe, simple, non-surgical male circumcision. Safe, simple, non-surgical male circumcision. Now that is how the spread of HIV and AIDS is being kept in East Africa. So this is being done by Sec MedTech, and they've actually developed the PrePEX device. Now, it's a safe and simple device. It's also scalable. They've used a scalable methodology, and it's to allow for adult administration. So you use it for adult male circumcision. You know, when babies are born, you circumcise them. If it's a boy, you circumcise them like at birth. But for those who don't have the opportunity, there's the option for adult male circumcision. So the device, it's easily and safely removed within a week, and the patients are able to go about their daily routines during the week without necessarily having to stop. Because, when the babies, and I literally saw like my baby brothers and stuff, and it looks painful. It is painful. I haven't felt it, but I can tell you it's painful. Anything that cuts you is painful. So it was painful. And for adults to actually experience that kind of pain would have been something else. But this device, it changes the whole game altogether. So the procedure is non-surgical, is completely bloodless, and it requires nothing to be injected into your skin, no knives, nothing to cut you in a way. Basically, they administer it, and you don't need somebody who is highly qualified. You don't need a highly qualified professional health personnel. Even the minimally qualified ones can actually work with the device and administer it onto whoever wants to do the male circumcision thing. Now, somebody may wonder why I was stressing on the fact that people who are not entirely highly qualified can actually do this, because when you're looking at the areas that they're targeting, the areas that actually have the high rates of HIV and AIDS, you realize that these are places that such services or such people, you don't get them in high numbers. I mean, in certain places you have them flanking the home. Certain places you don't always have them in high numbers. So you need a device that somebody at the minimum level that you can find in these areas could actually be able to use to curb the spread of HIV and AIDS in these East African countries. So it's called the PrePEX device, and it makes it possible for Rwandan health authorities to implement a nationwide voluntary male circumcision program, which is capable of reaching 2 million men within 2 years. That is like cutting down the spread of HIV/AIDS by 2 million people, and for a span of 2 years. That's a good thing that they're doing over there. And there's one thing I keep saying, but I'm happy that SecMed is actually looking at the same thing. They hope that by this, it would actually inspire other African countries to also want to take up the same initiative, and then they would also come there, or then they'll train your people to be able to use the equipment, the device, which is the PrePEX, and then they'll be able to curb the spread of COVID-19 in these countries. Like, this is amazing, like very, very amazing. I'm happy that they're finding a way to solve a problem and not create another problem. Now, one of the reasons why it's super important is the fact that male circumcision has actually been proving to reduce lifetime risk of HIV infection between 50 to 71%. And in the year 2007, we had the World Health Organization and the Joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, which is UNAIDS, begin advocating for male circumcision as an effective means of preventing HIV. So if you're out there in Rwanda and you voluntarily haven't gone for this, please, please, please carry yourself, dress nicely, go out there and partake in this. It's completely bloodless. There's no cutting, there's no anesthesia. It's bloodless. It's simple, it's safe, and it's non-surgical. And we're finally moving on to our last AGR good news for today. Now, this has to do with women and cooking. So I'm going to bring my co-host, Mamiaba, in. And I mean, yeah, when it comes to cooking, I know we have men that cook. For the men who might be looking at me with that kind of eye right now. But yeah, we have men that cook. But this is women. So let me just bring my co-host, Mamiaba, in. And then, Mamiaba.
Yeah.
Have you, do you remember the time, like, well, right now in certain places, except in the rural areas, but in modern places, and people use gas stoves and the rest, but it was, we had this, we made this clay mold. It was three sisters or three legs, 1, 2, 3, and then you put firewood. And you had to be literally fanning that thing. Your eyes will be watering like they're doing right now, because the smoke that comes from burning the wood just to be able to cook, it was crazy. And one thing I didn't like about the thing was how black it made the pans. Like, it literally blackened the whole pan anytime you use it. So then the children in the house are left to the job. The girls are left with the job of shining the pan back.
I used to hate that.
One Saturday, they can just logo all over you. Then they'll collect all the pans in the kitchen and give it to you. And you have to shine and shine and shine. Like, bah. But, well, there's a new technology that is actually trying to fight that, because inhaling the smoke is not good for our health. And it actually causes a lot of respiratory problems, especially for our mothers and grandmothers and aunties who used to do that. And this case is no different from what's happening in Kenya. So we have about 90% more than them actually lack access to modern energy and clean cooking facilities. And a vast majority of the households rely on this traditional wood or charcoal cook stoves that are not efficient entirely, but they're also costly for them because you have to go and purchase the wood as well. And if you're using either wood or kerosene to be able to cook, and those things actually drain the pocket of these families. So we have an innovation. It's called burn, like burning something. Now, this is a low-cost, highly efficient cook stove that represents a step in change in the design and efficiency. What it does is, when you see it, it looks like we have something like, we used to call something japa over here, but japa uses charcoal and things. But this one reduces fuel consumption by more than half, and that reduces the health risk for the people who spend a lot on the stoves and then the wooden thing. So it was like a problem that they're bringing a solution to. They have the jikoka, which is saving in stove. In Swahili, it's called saving stove. That's the jikoka one. They also have different types of it. They have jikoka. They have I just want to get the names right before I bite my tongue. So we have jikoka classic, jikoka extra, jikoka pro, konyokwa. That's a wood stove. We have the Turbo Pro, we have the Konyokwa Turbo, and the Ekoa. Now, they have made basically from individuals living in homes, families, to commercial scale cookers. So if you cook on a large scale or commercially, you don't need to be bothered about, I can't afford, or it won't be able to suit my needs. You can go get, they have it in different ranges. Go get the one that will suit you. This goes just to cap the rate at which those women get respiratory diseases, inhaling the smoke, and this also, in the long run, is bringing to an end felling of trees for charcoal and for firewood cooking. So I think it's a good job that Burn is doing in Kenya. Well, that brings us to the end of AGR Good News for today. Don't forget, our website is full of good, interesting stories both from Africa and across the globe.